Let's move on to another piece on the Democratic side, which is continued questions and maybe answers about Hunter Biden, his business dealings, and critically, because this is the part that really, really matters, the involvement of his father, the president of the United States, Joe Biden. So yesterday, one of Hunter's former business partners, Devin Archer, who was involved in the whole Burisma situation, he was on Capitol Hill to testify. And what he said directly undercut what Joe Biden's line has always been about his lack of involvement in Hunter Biden's business. He said he never even talked to Hunter about his business dealings. Well, Devin Archer has a different story. He says Hunter would quite often, many times, put Joe on speakerphone with his business associates to try to basically sell the Biden brand and leverage his famous, powerful last name into his own business dealings. Democratic Representative Dan Goldman was asked about this after the hearings. Let's take a listen to how he spun those revelations.
It was clear that it was part of the daily conversations that Hunter Biden had with his father, and it was and sounded like most of the time now President Biden didn't even know who the people he was at dinner. He was just asked to say hello. And he would, talk about the way he described it several times. They asked over and over and over. He described what the weather was, what's going on your end. The witness was very, very consistent that none of those conversations ever had to do with any business dealings or transactions. They were purely what he called casual conversations.
Oh, okay.
Incredible. Incredible.
Cool.
And we are expected to believe in his telling of events that the president of the United States is so naive that he doesn't know what's going on in these conversations. And they expect the American people to be so naive to buy this version of events. And they also expect us to completely erase our memories of Biden saying that none of this ever happened.
Krystal, he said he never spoke to him once on the phone. And this guy's like, oh, well, they were just talking about the weather. You just said they talked. For how many times?
The story significantly
completely changed the goalposts. Put this up there on the screen also from Fox News. Devin Archer actually, whenever he was present in front of the committee, unfortunately, it was actually behind closed doors. So I really would like to see the transcript of that hearing. I am calling on them to, quote, release the transcript. And look, I've always said this too with Archer. He's an unsavory character in his own right. He's facing jail time, but he was there at the center of all of these deals. And one of the reasons I feel like I'm growing nuts, Krystal, is I've been covering this for almost 5 years. I actually looked through my notes. I did a monologue on Rising September 24th, 2020, which detailed every single one of the allegations that Devin Archer made behind the closed door at this hearing about the Russian billionaire who transferred money there, actually the source material was the 2020 GOP Oversight Committee report, which detailed all of this and which Joe Biden then denied on September, I believe it was 25th, somewhere around then, at the very first presidential debate. This has been out in the open for years. I mean, I also went back and checked. I did an interview with Peter Schweitzer, who wrote the book on Hunter Biden, on March 14th, 2019, over at Rising. And every single detail about BHG Partners, Devin Archer, China, Ukraine, and Burisma is listed in that interview. So it's like, this has all been present in the public sphere before Joe Biden was even a declared candidate, let alone the president. So it's like, how are we still litigating this and never have gotten to the actual bottom of it until now, August 1st, 2023? Like, that's the absurd part to me, rather than the facts. I mean, Archer saying, I put the guy on the phone. Of course, he obviously did. Archer testifying that Burisma hired Hunter for the, quote, Biden brand, and everyone's like, oh, what a shocking. Is it shocking? Like, we need Devin Archer to testify to that? Right. Yeah, why does the guy get $83,000 a month? Okay, it's not shocking to anybody.
Yeah.
We knew consistently that Biden had met, at the very least, had been testified to by eyewitnesses with business partners. So it's like, to me, this is only confirmation of facts that we have known for years at this point. So it's really repulsive to me to see Goldman and all of them not admit the very basic truth. I mean, there's only one honest interpretation of this. Biden lied straight up on the debate stage, on the campaign trail, as president of the United States, and White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki and Karine Jean-Pierre have both told lies about Hunter's business dealings from the podium, End of story, period. If we are to believe this testimony, and not only his testimony, multiple other corroborating reports, the text message, that has come out. It's like all of this. It's absurd that they can still try and stick to their original.
I mean, it was always very plain on its face that the most charitable interpretation of Hunter's business dealings is that he was using the Biden. I mean, there was never any other possible explanation, right? Remember how he was like on the Amtrak board because he quote rode trains?
Yeah. He liked the train.
It's like, okay, that's what gets you on that board. It was always really obvious, and I'll never forget when we asked Congressman Ted Lieu about these dealings, and he's like, yeah, people will sit on boards and they earn salaries, as if that's totally fine. Now, listen, that may not be illegal, although I do think some of his potential unregistered lobbying for foreign governments is something that deserves a lot of scrutiny and may be illegal. But, unfortunately, leveraging your political connections and parlaying them into lucrative financial positions may not be illegal, number one. Number two, I'd like to see Republicans apply some of the same scrutiny to their own activities and dealings and those of Donald Trump. But Biden has really caught himself here and backed himself into a corner by stating so unequivocally that he never even spoke to Hunter about those business dealings. And it's just that part, it's gone. Like, it's very clear that that's a lie at this point. You got this other piece. There was Devin Archer apparently, reportedly testified that Biden had met with this Russian oligarch who was also, involved in potential business deals. And there were questions about why this particular Russian oligarch did not end up getting sanctioned. Karine Jean-Pierre refused to answer a question about this from the podium. Let's take a listen to that.
Regarding Russia's sanctions, I'm wondering if you could share the reason why President Biden hasn't sanctioned the Russian billionaires Vladimir Yevtushenkov and Yelena Baturina. How is he handling the conflict of interest there, given his son was a business associate of these two people? And can you confirm that as sitting vice president, he dined with Baturina in Georgetown?
I'm just not speaking to anything that's related to his son from here. If you want to ask a question about Hunter Biden specifically, I would refer you to his family.
So just continuing to stonewall here,
It's just
Saagar.
complete BS. Once again, I literally have the notes right here in front of me, as I wrote at that time. Payment included a $3.5 million wire transfer from Elena Baturina, the richest woman in all of Russia, conveniently the wife of the former mayor of Moscow, business associations with individuals who are linked to the Chinese Communist Party and the People's Liberation Army of China. It's all been in the public record.
Yeah.
Everyone knows this. And it's like, Steven, a friend of the show, a great reporter, at least has the cojones to ask about this and to get them on the record. But it's like the level of obviousness of which what was testified here, that the Biden brand was being sought by Burisma, of course, that Biden had been on the phone now with Hunter Biden associates. And the thing is about Dan Goldman is now Goldman is dropping the only defense that the White House ever had. I never talked to him about business, which was ridiculous and a farce on its face, but never had any real credible testimony. Archer has been saying this. Tony Bobulinski came forward in it was October, I believe, of 2020 and said, yeah, what are you talking about? I met with Joe Biden. All of the core allegation, the facts, everything has been here now for years. And, still the media is either downplaying it, or really what shocked me with Goldman is I'm like, wait, he just admitted it. Like he admitted the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
Like he says Biden talked to him on the phone. And it's like you said, Krystal, even if they were just talking about the weather, which I don't believe, let's say that they were. When you are able to dial somebody up in a meeting to flex your relationship with them and put them on the phone with business partners, that's worth a lot of money. Mm-hmm. If he's trying to close a deal and he says, yeah, I've got juice. And they're like, yeah, what kind of juice you got? And he goes, I can get my dad on the phone anytime I want. And you're sitting in a cafe in China or you're sitting in a cafe in Italy, which both of these happen, just so you're aware. And he dials his dad up in the middle of the night or whatever. And his dad probably answers because he's terrified. His son's probably going on a crack binge again. But you're doing that to flex the fact that you have such a deep relationship with the guy. That's still corruption, regardless. And Biden, you said, he's not stupid. He's been in the game for a long time. He knew exactly what Hunter was doing when this was all going down.
Yeah, I think it's hard to come up with another plausible explanation here. Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.